it's Blush Cameron, here with a new episode of my new podcast. What you just heard was a clip from my latest single called No One Knows, which is now available wherever you listen to music. Just search Blush Cameron and you'll find it. Today's guest is my pal and friend Kory Gregory of the band Prince Daddy and the Hyena. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Kory over the past year through our mutual friends in the band Strange Ranger. I've also had the opportunity to see Prince Daddy play a couple times now, and they're always amazing. I really like that band, and Kory's really fun to talk to. We share a lot of common interests when it comes to nerd hobbies. We definitely get into that in this episode. Just a heads up, it's a long one. We talked for nearly 2 hours over FaceTime, which I guess that's another thing to mention beforehand, is we had some technical difficulties getting things started, but luckily Kory's done a million other podcasts and had a solution, which was to record our own audio and sync it up later. So that's what you hear in the beginning, is us syncing up our audio by clapping at a specific time. Yeah, it was a blast hanging out and chatting with him over the phone, and I hope you enjoy our conversation as well. Remember to hit me up at Blush Cameron everywhere, patreon.com/BlushCameron. Listen to my new song called No One Knows, and follow and support P Daddy as well. Thanks, guys. Here's the show. Damn, there's always something I forget to mention. There's some echo when I talk during the first half of this, but eventually it goes away. So if it bothers you, just bear with us, because it does get resolved. Thanks.
Quick yeah, dude, no problem. Okay, ready?
Yep.
I think that should be good. I mean, if
That's
it's not,
perfect.
Then it'll be close enough.
Yeah, it's close enough. We can make that work for sure. Absolutely.
All right. So how's your quarantine been going?
So far so good. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm writing a lot of music. Some P Daddy, some other stuff.
Is that a room that in your house that I'm looking at?
Yeah. This is my quote unquote studio. My brother moved out. 'Cause my brother had a kid and moved out, so I took his room and made it my little my workshop. Kory's little workshop.
Nice. It looks like a comfy studio.
It is. It's very comfy. I spend a lot of my time down here, especially nowadays. All things considered, I feel like I'm losing days without knowing down here.
Yeah, dude, I'm the same way. I have my sleep schedule like keeps flipping up and down. Like, you know, I keep going from sleeping all night and like when the quarantine started, my schedule was like weirdly normal, because I'm usually kind of a night owl anyways, but I don't know, something about the stress like kept my body like way alert, and so like I would wake up at like 8 a.m. and then like not. Damn. Usually I like to take naps too during the day, but then I wasn't able to like nap. I was just up constantly, and then sleeping like at night and then waking up in the morning again. It was really weird.
I feel you, yo. Like I feel like at this point, like what are we, like a month and a half in probably of like actually being like quarantined and stuff. I feel like at this point it's like I literally do not have a sleep schedule. Also, like when tour got canceled from all this and stuff, as soon as I got home, I went to Walmart and got some necessities and stuff, you know, because I obviously figured this was gonna be how it was gonna be. Mm-hmm. And one of the necessities I got were blackout curtains for my room.
Oh, dude, nice.
So like legit, like I can sleep till like, I can wake up at midnight, I can wake up at noon, and I won't know the difference. So like for me, it's like I legit like, also like obviously I don't have a job right now, all things considered. So like I legit I just fall asleep when I'm tired. Regardless,
Yeah,
like
dude,
I don't even know what time it is. Like I
I'm the
just
same
fall
way.
asleep.
I love it.
It's honestly,
I got blackout.
I hate to say
too.
it. Oh fuck yes.
Yeah.
Like I hate to say it, but like there's part of me that's like thriving right now, I think, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
Obviously very dark times, like even dark for my mental health and stuff, but like as far as like my productivity and stuff, I feel like I'm like actually like doing more now than I would have if everything were normal.
Right. You mentioned that you're doing stuff other than P Daddy. What can you talk about that yet, or what kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean nothing's like set in stone or anything. Like there's nothing to like spoil, but I'm working on like solo stuff. Trying to make that come into fruition. I'm trying my hand at like scoring film and TV and video games and whatever. I haven't done anything yet besides just practice. And I'm definitely putting a lot of my mental real estate into that aspect too. Just trying to try to make that happen a little bit, because I'm a noob when it comes to that. But
yeah, I mean,
as you know specifically, I am very very. I film is like I say a second passion, but honestly, like it is a tied first passion realistically with music. So like, I just don't know anything about like the production of movies or anything.
Right.
So I'm not really involved in that world, but I like writing music and I like writing songs. So I'm just trying to like get involved the only way I know how. You know?
Yeah. What's your family like? Are they like into the art as well, or are they musical or anything like that?
They're not musical, but they are definitely appreciators. They're definitely appreciators. My dad especially. Actually, my brother too. My brother produces hip-hop beats, or like that was his main thing before he had a kid. Now he just does it kind of like recreationally, but like before he had a kid, he was like producing beats and stuff, and then a lot of the stuff that I'm using now in this studio and a lot of like my little tips and tricks I definitely have learned from him. But like my dad also just like is very passionate about music as a listener. And my dad is responsible for getting me into like guitar music.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, he bought like the first CD I ever owned. This is a rough estimate. It's definitely probably like give or take a year or two, but I'd say like 5th grade, my dad gave me a Walkman and Green Day's International Super Hits, their greatest hits record. That was my first introduction. I mean, my introduction to like quote unquote my own music.
Right,
like
being a fan of music.
Right, like I've listened to like music in the car with my dad or my mom or whatever. But like as far as like having an album and like being like, oh, this is like Kory's music, you know what I'm saying? That was it for me, and that was all because of my dad for sure.
Yeah, it's so
which
wild
is crazy
how like Green Day is like, you're not the first person to mention like Green Day as being the first band that they were like, a really big fan of on this podcast. That's pretty interesting. Were you like online at all? Did you like
forums and Green Day forums and stuff?
Well, yeah. Well,
is that what you mean?
Any type of online? Like, did you discover music online? Were you on like MySpace?
I feel like this
anything.
This was so early on. This was like, I mean, I'm young, so not to sound like, oh, this was before social media, because there was no before social media for me, because I'm hella young. I'm like 24, but
okay.
like, at this point, when I was first given this CD, I don't think I was like. I mean, it's possible I was like a lurker on MySpace, like trying to discover music that way, but I don't think so. I feel like at this point, it was definitely just like what the people around me introduced me to is what I had. But there was also like a point. There came a point probably like years later when I was definitely lurking MySpace and stuff for like different like pop punk and punk bands and indie rock bands and stuff for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
When did you like pick up guitar?
again, my father got me a guitar for Christmas one year. He got me like a Fender, not a Fender, like a Squier Stratocaster.
Classic.
Which I actually still have up in my room with some Hannah Montana stickers and stuff to show it's a product of its time. And I fiddled with that a little bit. I took lessons for a couple months. That didn't really work. I don't think... I'm like not really like... This is gonna sound... I feel like this is gonna sound weird, but like I'm not like educated in like I'm not really educated in guitar, to be honest. I'm not... I'm just like... I'm educated. I'm not like classically trained or anything. Like I can't read music or anything like that.
Dude,
you know?
I'm like terrible at music theory. I've always been so bad at it. I don't understand it.
It's beyond me. No, I legit same. Like I just like, and honestly, if I'm being like totally transparent, like I don't really like feel the urge to get familiar with it, to be totally honest, because I feel like I'm like totally capable of like doing what I want with a guitar or with a piano or with my voice. Yeah. Without like all these years I've done it without it. So like I don't really like, the push isn't there for me to learn it, you know, because like what I want to do, I can do. And that's just like express myself creatively.
The only time I ever wish I knew it was when I'm like working with other musicians on something and like struggling to like explain a concept, you know,
with like vocabulary and terminology and stuff.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. That's it for me too. Like while we were recording, like trying to like explain my vision or whatever is like very hard, considering like all I have is like this weird colorful vocabulary of my own, you know.
But it's like it kind of sounds like this, and it's, you know,
right. Yeah, but I honestly feel like that like it kind of sounds like this, blah blah blah, and like using your own terminology is definitely using that to someone who understands music theory is easier to understand than explaining music theory to someone who doesn't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how it is for me, at least, you know? Like when someone describes shit to me in like Cameron, our guitarist, doesn't know music theory at all either. None of us do really, actually. And like we obviously are able to communicate our wants and needs with each other. And like, I feel like if it were any other way, like I don't think we would be able to like have the chemistry we have if there was like this like separation of like, oh, play in this scale right here, blah blah blah, you know, like we like none of us know what the fuck any of that means. Like not to talk down on people who do, because I think that's dope, like that's a language in itself, but I think as far as like Prince Daddy and rock music, I think I know what I need to know, and the only things I like learn now is like creative things, not really like theoretical things,
right? Or like influences and like like expanding taste and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like that's what I'm like, quote unquote, learning now.
You know, that's interesting, because I definitely noticed when I was going through and re-listening to all the Prince Daddy stuff, like I can hear when you're like expanding influences and adding different, you know, tastes and stuff into the, especially Cosmic Thrill Seekers, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
Right on.
Did you have any bands before Prince Daddy?
Prince Daddy is my first band. I like, there was this guy named Steve Lehman who was like my close friend for a little bit, who he like did acoustic like singer-songwriter stuff, and I used to throw shows at my parents' house, this house, and he was like the like go-to local opener, so like we became kind of like close, and we like jammed like 3 or 4 times. Like I was playing guitar, he was playing drums, but the first songs I ever wrote are out there on the internet as Prince Daddy and the Hyena.
Yeah, so how did Prince Daddy form then? Like, what is there an origin story at all? And what was it, the lineup that it is now when it started?
The origin story is a lot of credit is due to the Ice House, which is what we called our house when we threw shows. That's where I met like all the people who played in Prince Daddy at first, all the people who like offered us our first tours and stuff.
Was that
our
in
bands
Albany?
that played here. It's in a suburb outside of Albany called Cohoes. So yeah, it's in Albany pretty much, yeah. But yeah, like everything stemmed from the Ice House, which another one, like I had these like certain local bands that like if I couldn't find another local band, I'll hit up this like, for lack of a better term, like stock local band, you know, like who I like, I'm close with them, I know they'll play whatever, you know what I'm saying? And one of which was a band called Louder Now, which is it is a Taking Back Sunday reference.
Nice.
And that had 2/4 of the original P Daddy lineup in it. And it just kind of happened because I was by myself writing songs. I went to a different school than all the kids who played in my house because I grew up in a different suburb. So like no one who came to shows at my house went to the same school as me, besides like my close friends, like my like little circle. But it just like lined up because most of the bands who came through, like the touring acts, were at least like 4 or 5 years older than me. You know, like they were established musicians, blah, blah, blah. I was like 17. Like I was like about to graduate high school. I was still in high school probably. And this band, Louder Now, were kids my age and would like, whenever they'd play, we'd have shit to talk about, you know, like it wouldn't just be like, holy shit, like your band is sick, thank you for playing in my house. It would be like have you played this video game, like, or like have you read this comic, like what movies have you been watching, that kind of thing. Like we connected on that level, on a different level than just like a fan to a band, you know. Whereas like obviously like now it's different because like now I'm older, so like a lot of the people I met through the Ice House I do consider friends, but like let's say like when the fucking Hotelier played here, it's not like we're becoming like bros, you know, like I was like fanboying to them, you know. Yeah, whereas like these people, it was like, all right, y'all are my peers, like we can do this. And I was writing songs at the time anyways, I just never had anyone to share them with, so I would show it to them and then they do that, and then they do their thing. And then that was Cameron and Zachariah. And Zachariah's not in the band anymore. They just left recently to focus on their own stuff.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, they just left to focus on their solo project, which is fucking awesome. I feel like you'd like it, actually.
What is it called?
It's called I Feel Okay.
Cool.
Do you like Spirit of the Beehive, like that kind of shit? I feel like you do, probably, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's very influenced by that, and definitely very, very impressively good at what they do.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I remember them being like
a
really chill person the couple times that we hung out.
They're very great. They're a very great human. No, obviously, I feel like anyone listening knows this, but it was not a weird falling out there. It was just a different priorities kind of thing.
That's cool. So was Adult Summers the first thing you ever put out, or was there something before that?
There was something before we put out Adult Summers, but we kind of, well, we're trying to retcon it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
It's just like obviously like I said in this already, even like these are my first songs I've ever written.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the first band I've ever been in, so like that was a point when like it was just like, okay, here's like 3 awesome musicians who are also my friends, like let's just like I don't know, like let's just make it happen, you know. But there was not much. There wasn't much merit to it, and I wouldn't say it came directly from the heart either. I feel like listening back on it now, it feels artificial. So I kind of tried to retcon it, take it off Bandcamp and stuff, because it doesn't seem very real to me as Kory Gregory.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, the first music I made was not great and didn't really hold up, but I think Adult Summers holds up surprisingly well for being even just the second thing that you made.
See, okay, here's the fun fact about that I feel like will change what will change what you have to say about this, and might fuck up some of your questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Our first LP, I Thought You Didn't Like Leaving, was recorded far. It was recorded, mastered, finished, it was written, it was all finished far before we even before we even knew what Adult Summers was.
Whoa.
But the label we were working with at the time was a complete shit show.
Broken World
Media, yeah. It was like which was our introduction to like the quote unquote like biz, the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of sucked, but obviously we got over it. But it was like pretty ugly. Like I'm glad the music industry doesn't work in the way they made it seem like it worked, if that makes sense.
Can you explain who Broken World was and like what happened with them?
You say who?
Are you able to explain who Broken World was as a label and like what it? I only vaguely remember it being like...
Yeah. I don't want to talk too much shit, because like I also feel like at the time like they were super like hip and relevant.
Yeah.
So the fact that like they did anything at all, like them having their name, like us having the Broken World Media logo on Adult Summers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was even game changing. Like, even though that didn't take work on their part, like, it's still, like, changed the game for us, because then people, there's a sense of credibility to that, because it's, it was an old member of The World Is. The World Is a Beautiful Place, and I'm No Longer Afraid to Die, that band.
Right,
and,
yeah.
They're long out of that band because of, various reasons, but,
didn't they get some major label money to pump into the Broken World brand or something like that?
Honestly, I wouldn't fucking know. We were very uninvolved. Like when I say like their label, like their logo was on our tape, that's the extent of it. Like
wow.
there was no money being pushed around. There was no communication. There was no anything. It was really weird. But we got connected through them because, I mean, like I said, most of the connections I made were through the Ice House. The World Is played my house a couple times. A couple of Broken World bands played my house a couple times, and like I just made connections and friendships and stuff, and that led to that. But yeah, that was like a weird. That's definitely also something that I wish we could retcon, is that was with Broken World Media, because like now we're like the established relationship we have with our current label is like so incredibly special. Like the head of Counterintuitive Records, who put out our past couple and re-released our Broken World records and does everything. He's also our manager. He's also like my best friend. Like we like talk like throughout every day. Like there's not a time we go without talking, like at least once a day.
How did you meet like Jake from Counterintuitive?
It actually is kind of a funny story. Well, I met him once, but it didn't really count because neither of us really remembered each other. So we'll discount that part. I don't want to pretend like I don't know this. If you're listening, Jake, but yeah, I know we met that one time, but that doesn't count. But at South by Southwest one year, our first year probably, he he was a fan of our band. So he had a conversation with me, blah, blah, blah. And we had, like, it was a good conversation, you know? It was a normal, like, sick, like, hell yeah, like, we're acquaintances now kind of conversation. And then at the end of it, he asked if I could borrow his charger. My phone charger, even though he didn't need it, just because he wanted an excuse to talk to me the next day.
Whoa.
And then the next day, we were talking, and literally the conversation that stemmed from him giving me back my charger led to him being like, yo, honestly, y'all are chill. Can I just, like, finish this tour with you once South by ends?
Oh my God.
And all of us were like, fuck yeah, dude, hop in. Like, this was very early. This was like 2016, maybe 17, but probably March 2017. Yeah, March 2017. And he finished the tour with us. It was fucking, like, we hit it off. And before that tour ended, we signed off for him to re-release Adult Summers, because at that point Broken World was already, like, we were already aware that, like, Broken World was not gonna happen. Like, this is not working, you know? Like, this is like, there's no reason for us to be on this label. So before, like, within, like, 6 days of him being in the van with us and 7 days of meeting him,
wow,
we signed a contract for him to press the 7-inch of Adult Summers, which Broken World never did. They only did tapes because they did not give a shit about us.
Yeah, man, well, that's a really magical story with Jake. That's awesome.
It truly, truly, truly is. Like, we both reminisce about that and are like, holy shit, glad that happened.
Yeah, dude, for real.
Yeah.
So you thought you didn't like leaving was the first thing that you did.
Pretty much. That's the first thing
first thing on the record, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Adult Summers came out first,
right?
Because
of
my
logistics.
bad. I got sidetracked. Yeah. Broken World, like, we had the masters. We gave the masters of I Thought You Didn't Like Leaving to Broken World, and they were like, sick. It's awesome. Can't wait to release this. And they waited 1.5 years to release it after they had the masters. So we were like, fuck this. Let's just write an EP. And we wrote Adult Summers.
Wow,
that's that.
That would be so frustrating.
It was incredibly frustrating. So we were just like, let's just write a fucking EP and just
Did they even say when they were
going to
release it? They're just like
they did,
it?
But every month they'd be like, all right, let's wait 2 more months. All right, let's wait 3 more months. Blah, blah, blah. Like, and it was very messy. It was very messy. It wasn't like toxic or anything, but it was definitely like messy. That for lack of a better term, it was just messy.
So how did Thought You Didn't Like Leaving come together? How did you record? You recorded it at the Headroom in Philly. What was that like?
It was fucking great. It was like we had the necessary push because I feel like it was probably just me and Zachariah who were huge fans, but we were huge fans of Joe Reinhardt, who recorded it. He works at the Headroom.
What else has he done?
He plays guitar. He played guitar in that band Algernon Cadwallader.
Yes, right.
He plays guitar currently in Hopalong, and he produces all kinds of sick records. Like, he did Never Hungover Again by Joyce Manor.
Hell yeah,
which is a big one for us.
The Headroom is definitely legendary. I have a couple friends that work there now, and I would love to.
I mean, our current producer is like, I think he either works there as like an intern. He works there. Our current like producer guy who we like go to, who's like, you know, like our go-to like, let's record a song guy. His name is Scoops. He works at the Headroom now.
I've heard Scoops' name before.
He's great. He's like one of my best friends ever. He recorded CTS. He recorded Adult Summers. He recorded the Thrashville songs. He's like someone. He's another person I talk to like every single day. He's like part of the team, you know.
That's sick. So what was the songwriting process like during that time for you and for the band?
For I Thought You Didn't Like Leaving?
Yeah.
I would say pretty similar to CTS, and now I feel like not much has changed as far as the like composition aspect. Well, first of all, something to mention that I think is fun is the album, the EP demo thing, whatever, that we are attempting to retcon. 2 songs off of that are on I Thought You Didn't Like Leaving.
Which ones?
On they're called different things, I think, actually, to be honest. I forget what they're called on that because we deleted them off Bandcamp. But on I Thought You Didn't Like Leaving, they're called Nika's Got It All Wrong, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Brock Chad. Those 2 songs are initially from our first little demo thing that we recorded in my high school buddy's basement.
Oh, yeah?
But we don't talk about that one. Yeah. A lot of it is just me, like... At the time I worked... At the time I had, like... I was working at Panera, I think. But, like, when I wasn't... I wasn't, like, really, like... much of a go-getter. Like, I was kind of a hermit. And this is also, like, probably, like, a lot... Like, I'd say, like... 30 to 50% of those songs were written before I graduated high school.
Oh, really?
So, like, yeah. It's mostly just, like, me. Those were me on GarageBand, just kind of trying to, emulate everything that, like, Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day or Rivers Cuomo from Weezer, or like stuff like that, like trying to like emulate stuff like that, like the stuff that I knew, you know?
Yeah. So what kind of like motivated you to start like pursuing it as like a serious, or like at least on a more like, you know, like what kind of drove you to tour and release albums and really like take it seriously as a band?
Well, I love music. Like it was a passion before I took it seriously. So
Okay.
Before I move on to my next answer, I want to make that clear that like it is definitely like a huge, like I've always been like, it's been a dream of mine since I was probably 13 and my dad got me that Strat. But I also I wanted an excuse not to go to college.
Nice.
And
For sure.
and like I had these songs, so I was like, let's go on tour. And like we toured before our first song came out.
Wow.
Our first show was our first day of our first tour, like in Connecticut somewhere.
That is wild. And I guess you had the connections to, you know, get those shows from the house that you ran, right?
That's exactly what it was. Like that's what made it possible for us to do something as dumb as that. Was just like, we knew people from here, we could ask them about people from there, blah blah blah, and like just one thing led to another, where it's just like, let's just do this, you know? As Dave Grohl would say, let's just hop into a van and do it.
As Dave Grohl knows how to do it. We're taking cues from Dave. Yeah. I mean, I guess to be fair, Dave probably did have experience doing that in the early days.
Right, for sure,
but,
absolutely.
You know.
By the way, I'm not shit talking. I love Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters is sick, but did you see that like the flyer that they came out with for like one of their shows or like they were doing like a van tour or something, like very recently?
Yes, and it was like a GMC like 15-passenger van, right?
Yeah. They're like downsizing from their mega massive, you know, luxurious tour bus, like getting back in the van.
bet it's like just like they're like fill-in bassist and a driver in that van. The rest of them were flying in private jets.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like,
this is messy now because of Adult Summers.
Yeah, my notes are a little bit mixed up. So you guys are being held back by Broken World. You get Adult Summers out. How do you feel then? What's going on at that point? And what's going on leading up to like the actual release of Thought You Were Leaving? Thought You Didn't Like Leaving?
Well, Adult Summer's coming out was kind of a huge deal, honestly, even though it was like kind of a makeshift EP. Like, first off, I'm really proud of that record. I don't mean to like undersell it. I like those songs a lot. But
it holds up.
Like that was like a very makeshift thing for us. Like we were like, all right, let's write 5 songs and like combat whatever Broken World is holding us back from. And so releasing that under the Broken World name was our first thing released under any label's name. So like that alone got us like some credibility,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like when we started touring off that, there's like at every show we would play, there's like I'd say like at least 5 people up front with knowing the lyrics, which like I know doesn't sound like a lot, but at the time that was like, this is fucking crazy. Like this is a dream come true, to have 5 people in like a random city that know your lyrics. That was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that came out, and then we went on tour with our first tour that we did was a Space Camp, and then we went on tour with a band called Posture and the Grizzly, who was another Broken World band, who are great. You should check them out. They still exist to a degree. And then leading up to the record, like I think while this tour was happening, probably the first single and music video came out for the record. I had this friend from an old band called State Lines who used to play in my house a lot, and he just started a new band called Oso Oso, and Oso Oso took us out on our first full US tour.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like 50 days long. We did, we and like as that was happening, I think the rollout for the record was starting to happen, like music videos and singles and stuff, and the announcement. And yeah, that was our at the time that was our big break,
Yeah, that's sick that you guys have really stuck together since then too.
Oh yeah, he like, I mean, even before that, honestly, he's been like one of the first people who have come through the house that have like treated me like a peer, rather than like just someone doing him a favor. Like I feel like we like connected and stuff. And
yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, like as you just said, like we to this day, like I'm like best friends with. Like, he's like probably like one of my best friends ever. Like we were recording a cover today for a tribute compilation for Fountains of Wayne.
What's the cover of?
It's the Fountains of Wayne song, Mexican Wine. We're doing together for a compilation.
That'll be sick.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's really like easy to see house venues and the people that run them as sort of disposable or just like a necessity, and like it can be hard to, even if you don't see them that way, sometimes it's hard to like make a sincere connection with them.
Right. Yeah.
Just because maybe you're not into the same stuff necessarily, but you need a place to play and they want people to play. What was like your experience in general running a house like that? Was it hard?
I mean, everything you just said was definitely. I would never do it again. No, that I can say for sure. But what you just said was like all very relevant and true. But I don't think like no one's ever like come through the house and like straight up like disrespected us or anything like that. I don't think. Not that I can think of. But yeah, there's just certain people that like love your band, and then you meet and it's like we don't have a connection, blah blah blah, but like that's real life, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there's plenty of bands who like play at my house who like at this point I don't have a lasting relationship with, but I still like throw on their records and stuff, you know, like it. But yeah,
can you talk about the like the green Prince Daddy hoodie? How did that happen? That thing, like, I've seen every show there were kids with that hoodie. For me in Michigan, anyways.
Wait, you're in Michigan right now?
No, when I was in Michigan.
Oh, okay, got you.
Before before I was living in Michigan before this.
Right. I honestly don't know. I'm so grateful. I feel like it has turned into this separate entity. Like I feel like people want that hoodie and they don't even know who we are, which is really cool. I don't know why though. It just
How did that logo happen?
That logo is literally just what's on front of Adult Summers. Like it's literally just how our name is written on Adult Summers.
So it just happened.
And we just put at the time of releasing that with I think probably when we released it with Counterintuitive, yeah, like we dropped that hoodie and it just happened. Yeah, our friend Brett from the band Mineral Girls did the layout for that EP, and I was just like, can you send me like the PD, like whatever it's called, the Photoshop file of that logo, just so we can like put it on like some shirts and shit. He's like, sure, whatever. And then he did it, and yeah, that happened. I don't know. I don't know how. I'm very grateful because it pays for me to eat. But
that's sick, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so Thought You Didn't Like Leaving comes out, and you're touring a lot. When do you begin writing for the next, and do you start like conceptualizing what you're gonna release next, or I know that now that's what I call Music 420 comes out next, but are you thinking about like the next release at that point, or are you just writing songs?
No, I'm definitely conceptualizing at that point. I'd say realistically, like the first few songs off of Cosmic Thrill Seekers were written before I Thought You Didn't Like Leaving came out. Like I Lost My Life was actually definitely written. I feel like you can find a post on Facebook of us posting the demo of the first song off Cosmic Thrill Seekers, and that's before even Adult Summers came out, probably.
Whoa.
Yeah. Wow. And I definitely am the kind of person who considers myself like an album writer rather than just like a songwriter, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Like I definitely go into it with an overall idea rather than just like this 2-minute snapshot, you know? Like I feel like in order for me to get to the 2-minute snapshot, I need to know its purpose. If that sounds super pretentious, I know, but no, like I feel it just helps me as a creative entity. It definitely helps me to like make sure everything carries its own weight, you know, rather than just like, I'm sad, here's 2.5 minutes of me describing my sadness, you know, like it helps to like have a greater purpose in mind for each little chapter.
I think you can hear it, and I think that's what, you know, makes your guys' stuff unique.
Thank you.
So how did now that's, I know it's going to be Thrashville.
Yeah,
originally.
That was like yep. Mm-hmm.
And so how did it come? So you guys just got asked to get on this split with Pictures of Vernon, and
Mom Jeans.
Yeah.
And so like we had this EP written out, which was like very loosely a like prologue to Cosmic Thrill Seekers called Thrashville. It was like 5 songs long. And then we like recorded scratch tracks of those 5 songs, and we were like, you know what? 2 of these songs aren't that great. Let's cut 2 of them. So we're like, let's release a 3-track EP. And then we're like, okay, Thrashville's 3 songs long now. And then our buddies in Mom Jeans hit us up, who were a way bigger, like they were like a way bigger band than us at the time. I mean, they still are, but like at the time as well, they were like a way bigger band than us. So we were like, you know what? Let's just choose the 2 best songs and reach the biggest audience we can possibly reach with these songs. And so we dropped the idea for the EP and just put those songs on there. And that's how that came about. And I'm very grateful because I feel like a lot of people listen to those songs now.
Those songs rule, I gotta say.
Thank you. I'm really proud of those songs. I love those songs.
How did it do you smoke a lot of weed, and were you smoking a lot of weed at the time when that album came about?
At the time, I would say absolutely, certainly, yes. I was probably I was smoking a lot.
Does that
I feel like
does that influence like your writing at all?
Only in the sense that like I feel like to a certain extent I'm like I'm very like literal writer. Like I write about what's in front of me, like what's happening right now. Like there's metaphors in there, but all the metaphors are like very like it's very direct. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like in that sense, I mean like obviously when writing I Thought You Didn't Like Leaving, I was smoking a lot of fucking weed. That's why there's so many like that's why they talk about weed on it. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Like stuff like that. It's like I definitely like that's the only way that it inspires it doesn't inspire my songwriting in like the actual like compositional sense.
I see.
Like if I'm stoned versus if I'm sober, I don't think the song I'm writing will be different, besides the fact that like lyrically I'd be talking about being stoned or being sober. You know?
That's pretty interesting, because I mean, you're right. Like, your lyrics are definitely literal in what's in front of you, but then you also have like the higher conceptual part of the album itself, and that's
it's
very
definitely there for sure. It's the big picture concept is definitely there, even though I'm writing very literal and direct. I feel like I said, I still need to, they need to hold their own outside of just like, okay, this is 2.5 minutes of what Kory's feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is like kind of how they are sometimes, because I do write literal and direct, but in order for me to be like proud of it and for it to age well in my head, I need it to like serve a greater purpose than just like, this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So how were you feeling then at the end of 2017 and throughout 2018? What was going on for you?
That's hard. I have such a terrible memory because at this time I was smoking so much fucking weed.
Well, I know that at some point between then and Cosmic Thrill Seekers, and we don't have to talk about this, and I can cut this out if you want, but I know you had a thing with Mississippi and you got like engaged at some point.
Yes, I did. You don't have to cut this out. That's totally fine. Yes, that was I'd say that was probably later than that. I'm trying to think. We got engaged at Fest 20 I don't remember.
It must have been
honestly.
2018, right?
18. Yeah. And yeah. Me and Zoe from Mississippi, which is a great band, were engaged for a second. It didn't work out, but that's okay. We're still very, very close friends. We talk every day. Blah blah blah. There's no weirdness there. If that's what if that's why if that's what you're wondering, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to like, you know.
Yeah, no, you're not overstepping any boundaries or anything. There's nothing weird there. That happened for sure, which is a big thing on the record I'm writing right now.
So it hasn't made it into the cycle of the new songs yet.
No, I'd say if anything, the positive, the first half of that, the positive half of that made it into the cycle, which was made on was definitely made its way into the CTS, the Cosmic Thrill Seekers writing. Like besides, I don't know how familiar you are with our music, but for anyone listening, like besides the first 2 lines of the song Lauren, that song's not about Lauren. Like that's
there you go.
Yeah. Like that hook is the only part that I wrote at that point. The rest of it was written just kind of from the having the mind frame of, you know, being in that state of being distracted from your problems due to a romantic interest, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, the romantic interest was Zoe, not Lauren. Lauren was just.
What was that
Lauren
like? Did it feel kind of like being in like a power couple? Like how did it feel with the kind of attention that it kind of brought?
I don't really know.
Did it affect it at all?
It made it more weird than it had to be when it ended. If that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it ended, like it was like a no. There's absolutely no bad blood. Like
sure.
I literally like before this podcast, I was talking to Zoe like it's 100% like all chill. It's just like, you know, some things just don't work.
Mm-hmm.
But like when it's public like that, there's definitely like just this sort of awkwardness of people like guessing and stuff. And
right.
it's like, I get it. Like I would probably be guessing and stuff if like fucking Billy Joe Armstrong and his wife broke up, you know? But like at the same time, I'm not gonna like go to the Prince Daddy group on Facebook and address it, you know? That's just weird.
Yeah. I mean, there's no like announcement for the break off, you know?
Right.
Like there was
exactly.
for the announcement of the engagement itself.
Exactly. Right.
It ended before Cosmic Thrill Seekers came out?
No, it ended.
Because I didn't even know until recently. I was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen them together recently. You know?
Yeah, no. It we were together when CTS came out. She actually did all the artwork for it. She's on it.
Oh, really? I know that she's on it, I think.
Yeah, she sings on the record a little bit. She all the artwork, all the layouts and stuff for that record and that tour surrounding it were done by her, which are fucking phenomenal. Shouts out. You should hire her for whatever you have to do.
Uh-huh.
But it ended halfway through the tour we did supporting Cosmic Thrill Seekers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about how did Cosmic Thrill Seekers come together as a concept for you, and like when what was the process of recording it like, and what was the rollout like?
Yo, can I go pee real quick?
Yeah,
I'll be 2 seconds.
Yeah, do it up.
My bad. You can cut that out. You can keep that. It's up to you.
All right, so where were we? It's just I wanted to know about like how Cosmic Thrill Seekers came together for you as an idea, and what was the recording process like, and you mentioned that some of the songs were written way before, like years before. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, just overall, like the as an album, it was definitely conceptualized before our first record came out. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? My bad.
I just am curious of like how Cosmic Thrill Seekers came together, the background, like how is it recorded?
So the initial I don't know the exact time frame, the time frame of this, but the initial like catalyst for like my motivation behind Cosmic Thrill Seekers as an entity at large was a bad acid trip I had. Yeah, and so I had that, and just kind of like the next day I found myself like not really like coming down as much as I was praying for, if that makes sense. And somehow Wizard of Oz found its way on my TV, and in my altered state of mind I made some weird connections and parallels to the trajectory of Wizard of Oz, which led to me more easily like mapping out and organizing my ideas as far as this record.
Mm-hmm.
I use Wizard of Oz as like a blueprint, like an outline for the record.
So just in case there's for some reason that somebody that's listening to this and like isn't familiar and they're just listening for fun, can you explain like what the story is, and like are you able to do that concisely?
I can try. I can definitely try.
Because it's a concept album.
It is. It is a concept album. In my head, I feel like there's plenty of interpretations of this, and I wouldn't say any of them are wrong. But in my head, while writing this, I would say it was a concept record where I dissect my mental health and the cyclical nature of my mental health through the lens of the story told in The Wizard of Oz. So, do you want me to get into like what that means as far as like the album's cycle, the album story?
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, to preface everything, I'm everyone. I'm Dorothy. I'm the Scarecrow. I am the Tin Man. I am the Lion. It's a very selfish record, and every character in the story is me.
Uh-huh.
But so I just found a certain parallel aspect from The Wizard of Oz to the cyclical way that my mental health seems to work since like graduating high school and stuff, where it's like 3 phases, which are the 3 acts of the record, which is the first one is the heart, and that is just the being driven by I want to say like romantic interests and stuff, but I don't think it's limited to that. I think just like being driven by just whatever you're passionate about, you know. Like I guess like being manic is where I was at that point. Just like having this certain something to have my focal point and put all my effort and resources and energy into, which is probably the healthiest portion of the story, even though it's not entirely healthy. It's probably, I don't know, obsessive or manic, like I said, or whatever, you know, like there's definitely unhealthy aspects to it, but it is probably the most positive aspect of the story. And then that leads into the brain, which is kind of the isolated part of the story. The damn, I haven't talked about this record in a while. This is fun. This is fun to revisit.
Good, yeah, I'm having fun listening.
Yeah, it's been a long time. The brain is more like the isolated, like the anxious portion of the story, like the not leaving your house, kind of fading into the abyss and losing your friends portion of the story, and then
like falling too deeply into manic, or like coming down from the mania, or is it something else?
I think it's all very like, that's a good question, because I think it's every act is very reactionary to the one before it, or every phase I should say is very reactionary to the one before it. So I've gathered from writing this record, it's like so the manic thing is there, like it's like all in my head. I convince myself everything's all pretty and colorful and perfect and stuff, and then that leads to me being kind of like obsessive to the like of maintaining it, of maintaining that kind of like what feels like positive energy. So that kind of subconsciously leads into the brain chapter of the story, which is me kind of like holding myself in a room, holding myself in my own head, kind of like obsessively being anxious and apprehensive about the future. Because I made the mistake of getting so comfortable and not happy, but optimistic, and that isolation eventually subconsciously gets combated by what I described as the roar phase, which is like the lion from The Wizard of Oz, who tries to like convince himself of some kind of spontaneity or like courage, which is definitely the most like fucked up portion of the story, which is like to combat isolation in the most like radical way is to like, to me at least, like in my experience living through this cycle like probably 3 or 4 times at this point has been like doing a lot of drugs and not really just saying yes to everything, if that makes sense. Like just like self-destructive. Like my initial like reactionary response to being this little hermit, this little recluse is like when the boiling point finally hits, it's like, what are you going to do? What is the opposite of that? What is like the antagonist of that, which is the lion, which is the one who like is looking for courage and this spontaneity, which and is like just as self-destructive as can possibly be, you know, like never sleeping, doing a lot of drugs, drinking a lot, just saying yes, just being irresponsible and not really having inhibitions besides getting your heart rate up, you know?
Right, yeah. I mean, that sounds familiar to me.
Right, yeah.
As someone that also struggles with, depression and mania and all these, anxiety. I have terrible anxiety.
Yeah.
This sounds like the type of, and drug abuse as well. This sounds like the cycle that I think a lot of people are familiar with. And like at the end of the record,
we intentionally added a seamless loop back into the first song because that self-destructiveness eventually comes to a point when when that is the cause of your anxiety, and that brings you back to square one, where you're looking for that kind of relief and optimism again after kind of like pushing your body and your brain to the limit in that roar phase, and then you get brought back to the heart phase, which is you kind of being driven by all the things I said before, romantic interests or passions or whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting how the album flows, like sonically, like the songs, the sequences like make sense. Do you write the lyrics as you're writing the song, or do you go back and revise the lyrics when you have like the plot more in mind?
Well, the plot is definitely in mind as I'm even writing a chord progression or a drum beat. I feel like I'm not writing music unless I have that overall arc in mind. But yeah, I definitely like lyrics are last for me. Pretty much always, I'd say. I'd say 90% of the time, like specific lyrics come last. However, I never ever write a song without knowing what it's about. But like I'll write a song without knowing what the lyrics are. You know what I'm saying? I'll have like a random journal entry or something that has a certain thematic aspect to it, and I'll write a song, and then I'll take that journal entry and like realistically nothing from the journal entry makes it into the song, but it was at least the inspiration, and I can like just take that journal entry and like edit to the point where it's like it fits the melody I've written, like the theme is still there, blah blah blah, Do
you bring like song ideas to the group, or like do they have a hand in writing it all? Or do you just like write the song and say, yo, this is the song we gotta learn now?
I write like 80%, between like 70 and 90% of the song, I'd say. I write on like, I'll write the melody and the chord progression stuff on acoustic guitar, and then like I'll make a day out of like demoing it out on Pro Tools or GarageBand or Logic or Reason or whatever, and I'll like write the drum beat, I'll write the bass line, I'll write the second guitar part, flesh out the melody, and then I will show them the demo and kind of have them learn it. So to that extent, I just kind of write it all. But obviously they are all their own musicians, so when I teach them a part, they definitely 100% add a flavor, like add whatever like need be to the part that was not there before. Without Cameron playing guitar, without Zachariah playing bass, without Daniel playing drums, those parts would have been different, regardless of the fact that I wrote them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think I can hear it. I mean, not being overly familiar outside of, not being familiar what everyone has done outside of Prince Daddy, I can tell that it wouldn't be the same with different members.
It definitely, even though I am very like OCD with my songwriting and like take control over every aspect, I feel like once I teach it to them, it becomes a whole different being than like pressing play on my Pro Tools demo, like it becomes a whole different like living entity that didn't exist prior to teaching them, and wouldn't exist if I taught it to any other musicians.
Right. Yeah. And I've all, I mentioned at the beginning that I can hear as I listen through the albums and get up to Cosmic Thrill Seekers, I can hear how your taste had expanded by that point.
For sure.
Do you feel like it did? And like, was there what kind of stuff were you like listening to, or like what music was influencing you at the time? Do you remember?
At the time of writing Cosmic Thrill Seekers?
Yeah.
Well, to answer the first half of that question, 100% my like creative input has increased times a million, whether it be like the fact that like now that I'm touring 6 to 8 months out of the year, like I'm witnessing all these different bands and like learning from them, or whether it be just like meeting new friends and having different like music suggestions from 30 years ago, blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying? Like it like right now I'm like my main influence is movie scores, you know what I'm saying? So it's like my it's definitely ever evolving, but at the time it was a lot of, I mean, I definitely was interested in the concept of a concept record. Like Black Parade, My Chem was, this is going to sound crazy, but it was introduced to me 3 or 4 years ago. Like I didn't grow up with that record. Our guitarist Cameron showed me that record. Like we used to work together, and like on our drive to work he'd show me that record, and I'd be like, holy shit, this is kind of crazy. Obviously, like,
that's interesting.
American Idiot was huge. Another one that was huge, which is not as obvious as those ones probably, is The Monitor by Titus Andronicus was like my favorite record of all time for like,
that makes sense,
a long time. Yeah, that
does make sense.
That's like, obviously it's still up there, but like that was like my holy grail for like the longest time, was The Monitor. I listened to a lot of, what was I listening to? This band called Granddaddy. Do you like Granddaddy?
Yeah.
Granddaddy, they're like one of my favorite bands. I feel like on LP3 their influence will be more obvious than on the Cosmic Thrill Seekers, but yeah, I definitely started against them.
Do you see yourself like moving away from pop punk entirely at any point for Prince Daddy specifically? Or do you think it's always going to be there? Do you feel like, because I struggle like myself, because I grew up on similar music to you, and I feel like it's always going to be there in my music.
I feel like, I mean, like I'm not making any plans or anything, like I definitely take a lot of relief in the fact that like I feel like Prince Daddy has established themselves as a band that can like that like the people who listen to us know that we're never going to release the same record twice, However, I also feel like that's like in my blood, like even if I were to start like scoring movies or something, like some tips and tricks I learned from like Billy Joe or something, like will bleed their way out, you know what I'm saying? Like totally. It'll be there. It's just like part of my identity at this point, I feel like, because like I don't know, you can't change your formative years. It's there. no matter what. Even if your interests change, those years are still there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild that I'll catch myself like writing melodies that are actually from like a Hoobastank song that I didn't even listen to, that I didn't even I wasn't even into it as a kid, like consciously into it, but because it was so present, on the radio or whatever, like that does like leak in to songwriting now.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
What the fuck?
There's a certain bleed there where it's like, I didn't even think I was influenced by this, but I guess like it's there, that is definitely a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's like the most subtle thing that is, you gotta be careful, kids. You gotta be careful what you're exposed to, because you might. You might find Hoobastank in your song 20 years later.
There's a direct rip. Honestly, this one is pretty fucking direct, and I'm just gonna be transparent. There's a direct Taylor Swift rip on I Thought I Didn't Like Leaving.
That's great.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is awesome. I've been trying to like catalog whenever I catch myself like repurposing a melody from a song. I used to like try to avoid it, and if I caught myself doing it, I would throw away the melody and try to come up with something else. But these days I just go with it.
What, like accident, like transparent, like influence?
Yeah, like if it's like, oh, this melody is from this other song, I go with it now instead of in the past where I'd try to avoid doing that.
Yeah, I mean, like
I go with
everything comes
also,
from somewhere,
Yeah, I try if I catch it and specifically know the song, I've started a playlist of the songs that
you've ripped.
Like, yeah.
Hell
and
yes.
I think if you have like a really good ear, you can probably go through and be like, oh, that is from that song.
I mean, like there's like at least 3 melodies on Cosmic Thrill Seekers that are like a brainchild of Strange Ranger and Oso Oso.
So how did you feel about the like release of Cosmic Thrill Seekers and the response and all that?
Phenomenally, honestly. Like leading up to it and writing it, like even writing it, I was like so anxious that like no one heard any of those songs until I was done writing the entire all 13-14 tracks. Like no one heard those songs. But so obviously leading up to the release of the actual record, I was fucking shitting bricks. I was like, holy shit, like I don't know, like it's definitely a more vulnerable record than than what I feel like Prince Daddy listeners are used to.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of freaking out a little bit, but the response was overwhelmingly positive, I think, and it definitely brought me some validation and some confidence as a songwriter to kind of ensure that whatever comes next doesn't have any, I mean, not to say that did, but just like the fact that didn't and it received such a positive response kind of helped me build the confidence to know that to not consider those outside like influences when writing future releases, like I don't need to consider whether Pitchfork will review my record. I don't need to consider whether this label will sign my band or this band will take me on tour. Like I don't need to consider that anymore. I can just kind of write the music that feels that comes out, and then release the record that I want to release, and at the very least there will be kids out there who are receptive of it. And that was a big, huge deal to me, honestly.
That rules.
Yeah.
Did you see Anthony Fantana mentioned to you guys?
Yeah, I did see that, and it seemed honestly pretty positive.
Yeah, it was surprisingly positive.
Yeah, like besides like I think his one complaint was my voice, and like obviously I get that. You know what I'm saying? My voice can be polarizing to people. I get that. So the fact that he was like so positive about the record besides that was like kind of crazy to me. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a dream come true to me.
Yeah, that was...
If it was me.
I remember I was at Jade from Oso's house, and he showed me that. I didn't even see it yet, and he showed me. And I was like, damn. this actually is not making me feel as bad as I thought I was gonna feel right now.
Yeah, he was like really respectful of like your fans and stuff too.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. He did like, you're referring to like that like little like short interview thing he did, right?
Yeah,
I mean the like, short review.
Yeah, like he didn't like the why you didn't review this album.
Yeah.
Video type.
Yeah,
thing.
that was really. I was very, very content with that. I have no complaints. Like the fact that his only complaint was my voice is like, dude, that makes perfect sense. Like an average music listener would be turned off by my voice. I get that. Thankfully now I have a vocal coach now though, baby. Suck it, Fantano. Really? Yeah, just kidding though. Don't suck it, Fantano. You rock.
Who's your vocal coach?
It's this guy Mitch. He's actually the guy who you know that band Pup?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when The Dream Is Over came out? That whole story behind that? How like
no.
So like he like fucked up his voice from yelling and shit too much, and the doctor was, "The dream is over." That quote, I guess, came from the doctor telling him that like, it's like, you gotta stop singing, like it's over, like you're done, kid. Wow. You're done, kid. And he hired this guy. And this guy saved his career, I guess. So as the story, like as the story is told publicly, at least. And a couple months ago, Scoops. I think we talked about Scoops earlier in this. I think he suggested getting a vocal coach, so I don't damage my voice, because I'm always screaming as well. That's like my main form of vocal expression is yelling into a microphone. And he's like, I don't want you to fuck up your voice, because this is like your living now, so you should probably we should look into this for you. And I was like, okay, I'll look into it, kind of bullshitting him, because I was like, fuck that, I'm not getting a vocal coach.
Who needs it?
Yeah, that shit's stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I put it aside, and then literally within the next 24 hours I follow the singer of Pup on Instagram, and he posts a picture of his vocal coach being like, hey, this guy gives Skype lessons. He saved my career, blah, blah, blah. And I took a screenshot and sent it to Scoops, and I was like, yo, I honestly wasn't going to like pursue this at all until I saw this, but check this out. And he's like, fuck, dude, just fucking do it. And I've been, me and him have been doing Skype lessons like once a week, and it's been going great.
Cool. Does it make a difference?
I would love to think so. I definitely think so. Like a lot of, I mean, for LP3 right now, like there is like legit probably like 25, 30 songs written. So, but I'd say like 50% of those songs there's no yelling in them. There's like falsettos and singing and stuff like that.
Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. You can hear that. You can start to hear that on Cosmic Thrills.
Yeah, I definitely start to explore that. I'm just a lot less confident in it.
It sounds good, dude. You should do some more like that.
I appreciate it a lot. Like I really do, because I'm definitely working on it now. But like at the time, like when I wrote those songs, that like, if you were to hear the demos, like I'm screaming in the demos, but like Scoops is like, yo, try this, and then I'd hesitantly try that in the studio, and I'd be like, okay, fuck, this sounds kind of cool, but like I'm never confident in it. You know what I'm saying?
You know whose voice yours reminds me of is one of my favorite singers of all time, Burt McCracken from The Used.
Oh shit, interesting. I never really listened to them. Not really. I know the only reason I know The Used, honestly, is because their drummer joined Rancid, and I loved Rancid. Yeah.
Dude, you should check out the Used self-titled album. Their first album. I think you'll really like it.
His voice sounds like mine, like when I'm doing the Kory screamy voice, or it sounds like mine when I'm like attempting to.
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Right on.
Yeah. So is there like any type of thought about when the next LP3 is going to come out? Like, is it just super early baby stages? What's up with it?
I don't want to give too much away, but I'm definitely open to talk about it, because it's been my life for a long time, and I'm really excited about it. It's definitely still baby stages, but like I said, I do that weird thing where I like have the record written before I have the songs written. And so yeah, obviously considering I have so many songs written, the record is written, and it's, let's just say, if a bad acid trip was my catalyst for writing Cosmic Thrill Seekers, a life-altering car accident was my catalyst for writing this record. And it's not about that. It's not about a car accident, but it's about what could have happened if that car accident went a little bit differently.
I feel like you're thinking of your records like movies.
I think of it like honestly, you more than like anyone know that I am very passionate about my movies. Me and you follow each other on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about Letterboxd. Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely think of things. I definitely have a cinematic approach to things because I feel like as far as like my creative intake, I feel like it's equal parts music, equal parts film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What have you been watching lately? What have you been watching lately, and what's your favorite movies? Top 3. Or top 4, because since that's Letterboxd, you gotta have the top 4 on Letterboxd.
My Letterboxd ones are probably inaccurate, but I'll try to answer that. What have I been watching lately? Since quarantine, I've been like really like diving deep into the scoring world. And as far as movie like original soundtracks go, my favorite stuff is like cheesy electronic 80s stuff, like John Carpenter stuff. So I've been trying to like revisit stuff like that, and like Vangelis Blade Runner, like shit like that has been huge for me. And like I know obviously I'm talking about music again right now, but like that's kind of pushed me towards watching certain things to get inspiration to keep working on this shit. The Blade Runner soundtrack was a huge thing. It Follows is a huge movie that
it's a great one.
Inspired me to start writing this kind of music. Recently, I can tell you. Hold on, let me open up my Letterboxd real quick.
Yeah, I'm pulling up mine too.
I've definitely stuck with the 80s vibe, but I've been trying to go for like more B movies than like blockbusters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, me and Fred had a string of horror film nights, and we started with Halloween.
Hell yes, that's a big one.
We watched Basket Case, which is one of my all-time favorites.
Yes. Is that the one with that's movies. The little fucking like
his little deformed brother that he carries around in
a basket? Yeah. Great movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
My most recent string has been a movie called so The Stuff. I don't know if you ever heard of that movie, but I watched The Stuff. It was a great movie. It was like a B-80s horror sci-fi flick. I watched the night before that. I watched this movie called Chopping Mall.
Shopping mall.
Like shopping mall? Like shopping mall.
Oh, shopping.
Except chopping.
Mall.
Yeah.
That sounds like a trauma movie title or something.
That's honestly what it felt like, a trauma movie, honestly. And then before that, I watched a movie called Videodrome. Videodrome. That, honestly, out of those 3, that was the best one. Videodrome was really cool. Debbie Harry from Blondie.
I've heard about Videodrome.
The singer of Blondie was was like the leading actress in that movie. It was really good. That was the only one out of those that are like, you know how like, I feel like you know this. You know how like movies can suck, but they can still be your favorite movies of all time?
Yes.
You know, like these B movies, like, you know, they suck, but like that's just your vibe, and like you fuck with it, you know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's how I feel about a lot of stuff that I'm into.
Yeah, no, honestly, me too. Especially with movies. Like my vibe is like shitty beat. Like to answer your question, to answer your other question, like my favorite movies of all time are the Evil Dead franchise. You know what I'm saying?
The what? Evil Dead?
The Evil Dead franchise. Yeah. Like Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 1 is amazing.
I'd say Evil Dead 2 is like probably like my number one. Like it changes.
They're
it
all
definitely
really
changes,
good.
But like Evil Dead 2 is probably like my like. When someone asks me that question, my like stock answer is Evil Dead 2 because it just like captures my vibe as far as like what I desire in a movie more than any other movie, I feel like. But
you like the comedy angle of it, or?
I do. I'm not limited to that. Like I like the scary shit too.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like I definitely drift towards like the wackier, zanier, like my favorite slasher is my favorite like killer of all the slashers is like Freddy, you know, because he gets like fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like I like how like stupid and zany it can get.
Nightmare on Elm Street 1 is sick.
It's so good. It's so fucking good. And also Nightmare. Have you ever seen 3? Dream Warriors?
No.
Dude, honestly,
Maybe
I'd say
I should add that.
That's number 1 on my nightmare list. Dream Warriors is the best list. Nightmare on Elm Street movie in my opinion. I love that movie. But yeah, I like the comedy aspect. I like the campiness. I like shit that like kind of almost deconstructs the genre a little bit. Like, you ever seen like Cabin in the Woods or like Scream or shit like that?
Yeah.
I like shit like that a lot. Like that's my vibe. I like when they're self-aware.
I feel like I probably asked you this the last time we talked about movies, but do you fuck with found footage stuff at all?
You did ask me this actually last time.
Yeah, because
when we were hanging out at your crib in Philly. Yeah. I think I do. I have not seen a lot. I've seen LOL action. I've seen Wreck, which funny enough has been remade in American and it's called Quarantine.
Yeah.
And
maybe I should. Dan, we should watch. We all need to watch. Quarantine.
Yeah, we all need to watch Quarantine.
I can't believe I didn't think of that.
I like those Wreck movies a lot. Okay, you're gonna laugh at me for this one. I know for a fact you're gonna laugh at me because I know it's a shitty opinion. But for some reason, based on when it came out and like the marketing campaign for it and stuff, Cloverfield is one of my favorite movies of all time.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, I love that movie. I don't know why. I love Cloverfield. It has a special place in my heart for some weird reason.
Me and my friends went to see it after smoking weed as teenagers, and it just made me kind of dizzy. It was
I knew
too
you were
much
going to say
to
something like that. I knew you were going to say like give you a headache or something. Yeah.
I love the concept of it, but yeah. Have you seen
J.J. Abrams. Oh, The Host, dude. I love The Host.
Speaking of monster movies like that.
I love The Host. Yeah. The Host is a great movie. Have you seen Parasite?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that movie too. That's the same guy, right? Same guy directed those movies. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Memories of Murder is one of my top favorite movies. He also did.
What is it called?
Memories of Murder. Me and Isaac both love that movie.
Damn, I haven't seen that one.
It's from the director of Parasite and The Host. You should check it out.
I'm very interested.
It's one of my top favorite movies ever.
I mean, those two movies, Parasite and Host, are like two of the most impressive movies I've ever seen, so I'm definitely interested.
Were you about to say something about J.J. Abrams? I cut you off. If not, it's fine. We can. I don't want to take up your entire night here.
Oh no, I have, dude. What do you think I'm doing tonight?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I have nothing to do. However, I cannot think of what I was referring to as far as J.J. Abrams, to be totally honest. But that's not because you're taking up my time. I am free.
Sure.
You can take up as much of my time as you want.
All right. Well, I got a couple little bullet points left here.
For sure.
We're also besides being friends on Letterboxd, we're also friends on PlayStation Network.
It's true.
I think.
Very I believe we are. Yeah.
Have you been playing any games this quarantine?
Yes. I downloaded the Call of Duty released like their like Fortnite thing for free, which is cross-platform, which was like huge because that means all my friends who I can't hang out with in real life, I can kill people with virtually.
And
dude,
it looks really fun.
It's pretty fun, honestly. Like, it is fun. Like, I'm not gonna front, but I just fucking like I've lost my touch with first person shooters.
Yeah, same here,
back
yeah.
in middle school, like I would say like I was like actually good and could hold my own against like hella good people, but like now it's like it's not that I don't like them. Like I think they're sick. I just like I don't know what happened. Like I just am not as good at them anymore. So like when I play, I usually try to like pick and choose and be selective who I play with out of my friends, and only pick the ones who suck, so I don't feel like a piece of shit when I play that game. But
yeah, I get stressed out doing multiplayer first-person shooter competitively.
Yeah.
And then I've also been like too brain poisoned by RPGs to do the single-player campaigns, because like I need there to be loot to pick up, and I want my guy to level up, you know? And I want to see damage numbers when I attack something. So like the single player portion of most first person shooters doesn't fulfill me.
I feel that to an extent, but I also feel like the single player is where I've been thriving lately. Like at night, like let's say like I'm done for the night in the studio and I'm heading up. I mean, they're gonna watch a movie or play a video game, right? And I feel like more times than not, I'm playing a single player video game. I just beat funny enough, actually, it's my first ever Resident Evil game. I just beat Resident Evil 7, I think it is. Biohazard.
The first person one?
The first person one. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I loved it. It reminded me a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was a really fun game to beat. I'm probably going to just run through that again. Today, actually, as of today, this morning, before me and you connected, I started a new file in Metroid Prime.
Really?
Yes, and I'm very excited about it because I've actually, funny enough, never beat that game before, and I feel like now's the time to do it. I never
played it. I'd be interested in playing it though. I actually just got the Dolphin emulator set up.
The Dolphin emulator?
For GameCube and Wii, like a GameCube emulator. On a computer.
I thought that was a weird way of you referring to Echo the Dolphin.
No, yeah. Speaking of Metroid, I'm playing Echo the Dolphin. Yeah, I just got like the GameCube emulator thing set up, so maybe I should play it. Maybe now's the time.
You should. Honestly, like for most, I'm not gonna front. Like it was like, I know for most people that's like a classic game, but for me, like I first played that game like a year ago. So, like, it's never too late. I first played that game a year ago, and I definitely fell in love, but I fell off somehow. Something else got in the way. Probably Red Dead Redemption 2, honestly.
Did you have games growing up?
Oh, yeah. That's all I did. I didn't have any friends. I just had games.
What consoles did you have as a kid?
N64, the very early stages. That was, like, my first, like, formative console, and then my like main ones that I consider like, you know, like identifying factors of who I am as a human would be GameCube and PS2. Those are the big ones for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all in for Sony, even as I was a kid, but I got my Nintendo fix from friends mostly. Like go over to my friend's house to play N64 or GameCube.
It's a different crowd, you know. Like our guitarist, like my best friend Cameron, he's a Sony kid too, and he like for some reason just does not fuck with Nintendo products. Like he tries, he just like doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't get it. He like I don't know. He doesn't get Mario. He doesn't. The only thing he gets is he likes Star Fox. Star Fox is like the one thing he's like, okay, this is cool. But besides that, it's like Kirby, Mario, Zelda. Badass. It's like this shit. He's like, I'd rather be playing Last of Us or like Uncharted or something right now. Like, but
yeah, I didn't start appreciating Nintendo again until like a couple years ago, really. But I did have the original NES as a child. Like that was my very first system, and I liked it a lot. But then I went to PlayStation after that, and then kind of stopped liking Nintendo as a young adult and
so
teenager.
I'm assuming you don't have a Switch, right?
No, but I would love one. I'd love to have one because these days I do appreciate Nintendo a lot. I don't know if I would play Mario. Like
that's not why I have a Switch. I have a Switch for Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I love Breath of the Wild, and yeah, there are definitely some Nintendo games that I really enjoy, and I appreciate Mario as like a character. I just don't know if I play the game.
Right.
And I also don't like Smash Bros.
Oof, I love Smash Bros. There are people like that though. You're
I
definitely
love
not
Street
alone.
Fighter.
Street Fighter's cool.
I'm big into Street Fighter and like
Mortal Kombat's
other,
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You're right though. There's something like some people are either or, you know.
Yeah,
some people are
it definitely. There's a certain like simplicity to Nintendo products that I don't think Microsoft and Sony has. So I think
there's a consistency.
It's a little polarizing. I feel like maybe to certain people.
They are more kiddie. You know, they are more like cartoony and bright colors.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely more like colorful and less like, like Call of Duty. You know.
Yeah, I'd love to have a Switch though. All right, so let's. Earlier I did ask on my social media accounts if anybody had questions for you, and
was there any responses?
Let's just see.
Let's just see. Why not?
Ryan from Michigan asked.
I think I might know Ryan.
Asked me to ask deal or no deal.
What's Ryan's handle?
Amen breakfast, maybe.
I wonder if this is the right.
I'm sure you know him. He's the really tall kid from Michigan.
Does he go by Ryan Sadwallader?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, no deal, Ryan.
No deal. Okay. I figured that was probably some sort of inside thing.
It's not, honestly. To be totally honest,
really?
It's not. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay. What was your best gig you ever played? That was from Scott. At Scott's Mahogany.
The first show after CTS came out. So the first show of the CTS tour was at the Sinclair in Boston. I would say that's the show I look back on and I'm like, holy shit. I can die content now because I played that show. That's the one.
P. Daddy shows are always wild. I don't know how it could get more wild than the average.
You want to know how it gets more wild than the average?
Yeah.
We're not allowed to play there anymore because it got so wild.
God.
And it's my favorite venue of all time.
Is there a video of that?
I'm sure if you YouTubed it, there's a couple songs. There's a song or two. It got to a point when there was like literally okay, both sides of the stage, people hopping on the monitors and just like a constant rotation of stage divers to the point where it was just like a rotisserie. You know what I'm saying? Just like people like waiting in line to jump off the stage. It was it was. To me, that was like the most special thing of all time, and my parents were there to see it too. So it was just like,
man, that's sick.
It was. I look back on that and get goosebumps for sure that night. I mean, that whole tour was very special to me, but that night was the first of it, and it was just at my favorite venue of all time, and it was fucking absolutely off the walls, fucking bonkers.
Are you guys gonna reschedule the tour that had to get canceled?
That's our plan. I mean, obviously, it's very hard to say right now, but
yeah.
All of us want to.
I've seen some bands, like scheduling tours as soon as July or June, and it's like I don't know.
Yeah, that
seems too soon.
We rescheduled our one of the legs of that tour to June. It's like at this point, it's looking very bleak. To be transparent with y'all, it's just it just seems like it's hard to gauge right now. But like all of us want to. And how I'm answering that question for anybody who asks is like simply put, it's like, let's say this tour did happen. That would have been the fourth time that tour happened. So realistically, it's going to happen again. Like the Oso Just Friends P Daddy lineup. Like even if that specific like route doesn't get realigned, it's that collection of stupid ass human beings is going to collect themselves again and play shows together again because that's all eventually. Like immediate family and we don't none of us like those through bands specifically like P Daddy, Oso, Just Friends, like we don't even fucking make decisions without consulting each other, you know? Like we're like immediate family. So like that'll absolutely happen eventually, even if it's not this specific tour. You will see us play together in your city before.
That's good. People just gotta be patient.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a question from Brody Can't Skate on Twitter
Brody
is best Joyce Manor album.
They're legit one of the only bands I can't do that with, because I think all of their records hold merit. Fuck. I want to answer it. Right now, I'd say... This is a weird answer, but it's not me being edgy, it's me being honest. I'd say right now it's Of All Things, I Will Soon Grow Tired. I like that record a lot. I like sonically that record is like... With that record or with that band?
A little bit both. I mean, I know some Joyce Manor songs, but I'm sure somebody online is going to have some words for you after hearing that.
That record is just... I mean, like I said, like if you asked me tomorrow, that answer would probably be different. But like, I don't know. That record is just like very sonically diverse and interesting.
Have you played with them before?
No, we have not. But when I was 15, the singer and the drummer snuck me into one of their 21 plus shows, and that was fucking... I was like a huge fan, so that was a huge like thing for me. But also their that drummer who was in the band at that point when I was like 15, 16, he's not in the band anymore, and he plays in some of my friends' bands, so I'm friends with him. Like, me and him are kind of tight now. Like, we at least, you know, like, we'll always play shows with each other when we're in each other's areas and stuff, so that's cool. But we have never played a show at Joyce Manor. I would love to. I think that
Are they high up there for you in terms of, like, bands that you want to tour with?
Yes. Yeah, especially as, yes, in general, 100%, but especially as far as, like, realistic bands I want to tour with. You know, like, there's bands like Green Day and, like, you know, like Smashing Pumpkins or some shit that I'm like, fuck, that would be so cool to tour with them, or The Killers or The Strokes or something, you know? But there's also bands like Pup or Jeff Rosenstock or Joyce Manor where I'm like, fuck, it would be so cool to tour with them, and, you know, maybe it could happen, you know?
You know, I kind of wonder, like, why don't these huge bands that came from the bottom ever, like, reach back down after finding that level of success? And I wonder if there's a reason for it, if it's complacency or, like, some sort of, like, contractual weirdness, or, like bands like, you know, like Green Day or Foo Fighters or Jimmy Eat World, or, like, why don't they reach down to bands, like, at your guys' level and, like, bring you on tour? They never do that, right?
You know, actually, it's funny you say that. I mean, first of all, I agree. Like, it would be cool if that was more common practice. But Green Day, Billy Joe found out. Do you know that band Culture Abuse?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like a band. Like, they're bigger than us, but like they're the same like circle, same tier of band. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Billy Joe found out about them, and they toured Europe together, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Billy Joe was like, I like this band a lot, let's take them on tour, and they toured Europe together. Yeah, I think I'm like 75% sure that information is correct, which is fucking
maybe they
awesome.
Do it once in a while. I just am not paying attention.
Yeah, I think it's once in a while, because, like, if I had to guess, it's because, like, when a band like Green Day does a tour, it's like there's like so many people involved in that budget. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, there's like it's not just like Billy Joe, Mike, and Trey. You know, like, it's like there's like teams. There's like 6 different teams probably involved in
hundreds of people potentially involved. Yeah.
So like there's more to consider than just like this band's. I like this band. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's probably more to consider than that when you're at that point. Because like that's like some stadium ass shit. You know what I'm saying? That's huge. That's big.
Yeah. Someday Prince Daddy will be up there too. On their own. They'll be reaching down to me.
Fingers crossed.
So I'm kind of winding down here. Do you have anything else you want to say? What's next for Prince Daddy? Like, what's up?
I mean, obviously for now, everything's up in the air. I'm definitely writing more songs. Our next record is definitely going to be your favorite Prince Daddy record, regardless of who you are. I feel like it's going to be the best aspects of our band done the best way possible. And as soon as... What's up?
Are you going to get into game streaming? You going to start streaming on Twitch?
I think I suck too much to do anything like that, to be honest.
Oh, man. I would watch.
If anything, I'd get into, like... I'd find a way to, like, make watching movies a stream. A like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of thing.
That'd be cool.
That I could picture myself doing.
My friends and I watch movies together over the internet, but commentating over it would be a whole other thing.
The only reason I that's not like that's not something I like am like passionate about and want to make come to fruition. I just am passionate about movies, and I feel like if I were to like try to stay relevant and stay active, it would be.
Well, what's your Letterboxd account if anybody wants to follow you on there?
Yeah, good call. I definitely actively use Weatherbox, and it's actually just the Prince Daddy Twitter. It's P Daddy and the Hyena, or I think like on the account itself is CornyBoy69. I actively use that and update it as I watch movies. I will update that, either put a review or put a star rating on there, something.
Hell yeah!
I like your reviews, dude. I always see them and I'm like, damn, I should be better friends with them.
Yeah, we got to keep in touch after this, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate 100%. You coming on here.
You have my number
doing
now.
This with me.
Of course, dog. I actually had a lot of fun. I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again too. Maybe under different circumstances when quarantine is feeling a little, more
when it's dying down a little bit.
Or something.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I would love to. Honestly, anytime.
All right, yeah, and hit me up anytime. And
fuck yes.
Thanks again, dude.
Of course, dog.